Hello everyone, Palumbo here. Video we're doing today in the case of Madeleine McCann. We're gonna expose the myth that the McCanns have never mentioned the Smith sighting, folks. A lot of people believe that the McCanns have never mentioned it. But that's not true because they have mentioned it, folks. Before we start the video, you're innocent until proven guilty. In front of you, you have Kate McCann. This video, what I'm showing you, is from Cutting Edge. Madeleine was here. Kate McCann relates to an interviewer about Tannerman, and she also mentions Smithman, the Smith sighting, folks. So when people say the McCanns never mentioned Smithman, that is not true. Now, the reason I am showing you this video is because of what Kate McCann says in this interview to the interviewer. Now, if you read the statement of Kate McCann, I think it's her first statement or second statement as part of her arguido. She mentions that with regards to the items that were in apartment 5A, nothing was taken, folks. Nothing. This includes the clothing of Madeleine. All Madeleine's clothing was supposed to be in 5A, apart from obviously the pajamas that she was supposedly abducted in. Now, the clothing that Madeleine was supposed to be abducted in were short-sleeved pajamas. Short-sleeved. Now, if she was abducted, folks, how would an abductor know that Madeleine was in short-sleeved pajamas? And then they had the wisdom to bring along a long-sleeve top. Were they psychic? The abductor turns up. They already know that Madeleine's wearing a short-sleeved top. And what they're going to do is when they abduct Madeleine, they're going to carry her down Rue de Bril wearing a long-sleeve top, folks. Because they're psychic. Because they already know that Madeleine is wearing short-sleeve pajamas. They wouldn't know no such thing, would they, folks? Abductors do not go round carrying long-sleeve tops in their pockets, knowing full well that the child they are going to abduct was wearing short-sleeve pajamas. So we're just getting that bit out of the way. Kate McCann tells this interviewer that she has read the files of the Smiths. Now I'm going to play you the interview. And then I'm going to show you the transcript of the interview, folks. Bearing in mind that the McCanns are telling you that Madeleine was abducted wearing a short-sleeved top. So the person seen by the Smiths, the child, if it was Madeleine, should be wearing a short-sleeved top.
The most likely sighting of Madeleine and her abductor was by Jane Tanner, a friend of the McCanns. In the files, Kate believes another witness statement from an Irish family describes a very similar sighting to Jane's, less than a mile from the McCanns' apartment.
The reason why this is significant is both sightings were given independently. So when this family gave their statement, they weren't aware of Jane's description, and there's actually quite a lot of similarities. And it does beg the question, I mean, how many people carry their children on a cold night not covered, nothing on their arms or the feet, no blanket? Now, either there's been two people carrying children in that way who haven't come forward to eliminate themselves, or potentially they're related.
But you think that child is Madeleine?
I think there's a good chance it could be Madeleine. Certainly the description there sounds to me like Madeleine.
Kate and the...
So, you heard the interviewer there asking Kate McCann the question. So you think that child being carried by that person seen by the Smiths was Madeleine? And Kate McCann replies, there's a good chance it could be Madeleine. Judging by the description there, which means the description of the child carried by that man seen by the Smiths, it sounds to her like her daughter, folks. Now that child seen by the Smiths was wearing a long-sleeved top, not short-sleeved pyjamas. But you have Kate McCann telling the interviewer that she has read the description of the Smiths. And when she read the description of the Smiths, the child that was carried by that man sounds to her like her daughter. That's why I have strange suspicions about the parents, folks. Because if they are telling you their daughter was abducted wearing short-sleeved pyjamas, and then Kate McCann is telling you that the child carried by that man seen by the Smiths sounds to her like her daughter, then it doesn't add up, does it? Because that child wore long-sleeved tops. Bear with. So here's the transcript of that interview. And we're going to read it, folks, because people do not take things in. The voiceover, meaning the interviewer or the person doing the commentary. The most likely sighting of Madeleine and her abductor was by Jane Tanner, a friend of the McCanns. In the files, Kate believes another witness statement from an Irish family describes a very similar sighting to Jane Tanner's, less than a mile from the McCann's apartment. So there's the myth, folks. The McCanns have mentioned Smithman. K, meaning Kate. Kate says the reason why this is significant is both sightings were given independently, so when this family gave the statement, they weren't aware of Jane Tanner's description. And there's actually quite a lot of similarities, and it does beg the question. I mean, how many people carry their child on a cold night not covered? You know, nothing on their arms or their feet, no blanket. Now, what she means by this, folks, is that she is telling the interviewer that that child carried by that person seen by the Smiths was wearing a short-sleeved top. Hence, Kate McCann says there was nothing on their arms or their feet, no blanket. So she wants that interview to believe that that child seen by the Smiths was wearing short-sleeved pajamas. Bare-armed, folks. But as you know, that's not true. Kate goes on to say, now either there's been two people carrying that child that way who haven't come forward to eliminate themselves, or potentially they are related. Now, the interviewer asks the most important question, folks, and there it is, the voice of the interviewer in the transcript. But you think that child is M, meaning Madeleine. Kate replies, I think it's a good chance it could be Madeleine. Now here's the crux of the matter, folks. Kate McCann, certainly by the description there, it sounds to me like Madeleine. And that's why I'm asking the question, folks. How is it possible it could be Madeleine? I told you at the start of this video that according to Kate McCann, none of Madeleine's clothing was taken out of the apartment, apart from the clothing that she was wearing, which was a short-sleeved top. Now, if she was abducted by Smithman, then Smithman, whoever they were, would not turn up with a long-sleeved top in their pocket, because they are not psychic, are they, folks? So if they had intentions of abducting a child out of an apartment, they'd just abduct the child with what the child was wearing. And in this instance, it was supposed to be short-sleeved pajamas. And then you have Kate McCann telling the interviewer, as I am showing you now, she tells that interviewer, when asked the question, but you think that child seen by the Smiths being carried by that man was Madeleine? And instead of Kate saying, well, there's doubts because the clothing do not match, she doesn't. She tells the interviewer, I think there's a good chance it could be Madeleine. Certainly by the description there, sounds to me like my daughter Madeleine. So you see, I have killed two birds with one stone in this video. I've shut down the myth of the McCanns not mentioning Smithman. But I have thrown in another anomaly, and that is Kate McCann telling an interviewer in Cutting Edge that that child seen by the Smiths was not covered in a blanket. They had nothing on their feet, nothing on their arms. Now, what she means by that is that she wants you to believe that that child seen by the Smiths was wearing short-sleeved pyjamas and they were bare-armed. I am then showing you that when asked by the interviewer, but you think that child was Madeleine, Kate replies, I think it's a good chance it could be Madeleine. Certainly, the description there sounds to me like Madeleine. That is impossible, folks. If Madeleine was wearing short-sleeved pyjamas, as the McCanns say when she was abducted, supposedly, and then this child carried by Smithman was wearing long-sleeved pyjamas, then that is impossible. They do not match. Now, the thing about Smithman, you've got to ask the question, why haven't they come forward? They must know who they are. Unless that man has passed away, or they do not have access to TVs and they are living a hermit life, then that person must know that they were the person carrying that child. So that's the real question why you've got to ask is, why hasn't that person come forward? And who knows, maybe they have come forward. But we're not getting told about it because they don't want you to tell you about it. Just like Tannerman. Makes you think.